is CloudFront? As I said, it's a content delivery network and which helps you to, and as a thumb rule, it's a web service that speeds up distribution of your static and dynamic web content. So basically, it helps you to speed up the content delivery or distribution of your content, which might be far from the end user. Okay, basically, CloudFront delivers your content through a worldwide network of data centers called edge locations, and we have already spoken about it earlier what an edge location is. So as you know that everywhere AWS cannot build an availability zone, so they have a concept of small or mini data centers called edge locations. Basically, those edge locations are used to cache the content so that they can improve the user experience, at least for the users which have a consecutive request of something else which has already been accessed by someone else in that particular location, right? So the content is cached at edge locations. When the further user comes in, then the content is not pulled from the actual source, it is served from the cache location, and that's your edge location. So basically, your CloudFront delivers content through those miniature data centers known as edge locations, and they improve the user experience. I mean, they reduce the latency if there's a request and there is a more than one request. Then there are certain terms which are supposed to you are supposed to familiar with. One of them was edge location, and then we have another term called origin. And basically, as the name suggests, this is a source of your content from where CloudFront or will fetch the content and cache at the edge locations. And that origin can be a S3 bucket, it can be an elastic load balancer, it can be a web server also. So, and the other thing which you're supposed to know is distribution. Distribution is a collection of the configuration settings which we do, and based upon that edge location will cache the content. Okay, I hope you understand all these terms: edge locations, origin, and the distribution. I would like you to have a look at it. If you find something which just does not make sense or you need to ask any question, please ask now. No questions? Okay. So if that is done, then let's go and log into the management console and start configuring one. Can someone please share the credentials which we can use? Do you see the browser? I'm in the management console. Guys, you guys are, I mean, put it on recording and went somewhere else. Nobody is responding, huh? Okay, cool. So I got a couple of yes. So I think people are able to see. And do not do that you are putting it on recording and then go away and do your work and then come back. Okay, got a couple of yes. So that's fine. So this is our management console, and also that will be creating CloudFront distribution. Okay. Before that, we need to create a bucket. So let's go to the S3. Because we would be using an S3 bucket to distribute the content, or my bucket would be acting as a source. So create a bucket. I'll give it a name. Siva CloudFront. Okay, I'll go with the nearest one. So the nearest one would be to Singapore. Let's go there. I want to make it public because I would be content to the common public here. So I'm allowing a public access. I acknowledge that I'm opening it, create the bucket. So it got created. The bucket is public. Let's quickly add some object to it. Next, I want to make it public because this is an object which would be accessed through that URL. So I'll give it a public access. Next, and upload. Okay, before that, let's do something else today. Let's create a folder as well. I'll call this folder, what should I call it? Test. Okay, I call it test one. Okay, save. And in this folder, let's go and upload the subject. So today we can add one more thing. We can see how we can create folder and can access the objects inside a folder. Uploading the same file there as well. So we have got a folder inside this bucket, and in the bucket we have this PNG file as a graphics file, this which we are going to serve through the CloudFront. Let's go back and see if we can access this one. If I click it, I will not be able to access. Okay, because make it public. So this is the file basically, which we have going to share with it one. Okay. Let's go back into the services and click on route, not route. You go to, as I said, it's a part of networking and content delivery. So this is my network and content delivery, under which you'll find CloudFront. It was used to be part of a storage earlier. Now they have moved it to the networking part. CloudFront. Click on that CloudFront. So this is where you'll land once you click on that. And if you see, there's no distribution currently. So let's create distributions. When you click on create distributions, you'll find there are two different types of delivery method which you can use for distribution. One is a web delivery method, and there is a RTMP delivery method. RTMP delivery method is going to be discontinued soon. So after that, AWS will or the CloudFront will not support this method. For almost all of your use cases, you can use web-based delivery method, or you can create a web distribution where you can deliver or speed up the distribution of your static and dynamic content. You can use files with HTTP and HTTPS. You can add, update, delete objects, and you can even use live streaming with this one. Okay, and you can use S3 bucket, web server, or ELB as an origin here. As I said, the origin would be the source of the content. And will RTMP you can use, still they are allowing it for a couple of, till December 31st. So you can use, if you want to stream media files using Adobe Flash Media Players, they have a protocol called RTMP, which is real-time media player protocol. Basically, it allows your RTMP allows user to begin playing a media file before the file even has finished downloading, right? So that's the only benefit. And if you are using RTMP distribution, you can only store your media files in an S3 bucket. You cannot use web server or any other resource from AWS. For all other use cases, you can make use of your web distribution. So this is what we're going to do that. So click on get started. So this is where you can put the configurations. As I told you, the distribution is a set of configuration which you provide for your edge locations, right? So these are the some configuration settings which you need to provide. First, we need to see the origin domain name. So origin, you understand, origin is the source of content, where the actually source would be there. And its domain name, if you can see, I have got one bucket which was just created. The name of bucket was Siva CloudFront. I'm going to select that. Then the origin path. Basically, if you have a bucket, and this bucket might have multiple objects, but you do not want to serve that multiple objects out of that bucket. You only want a specific object which is maybe part of which may be inside a folder as we did. So you can provide that path here. It's an optional setting. If you want to provide, if you don't want it, you can skip it as well. Okay, it's not necessary that you need to do that, but we will do it because I want to show you how you can make use of that folder which we created earlier. So let's go back to the S3 console as well and find out the name of the folder. So this is my name of my folder, test1. So I'm going to use test1. The name should proceed with the / test1. Then this is the origin ID. Anything which you can add as an ID, it would be utilized here. So basically help you to identify the origin. Now, if you see, it has an option called restrict bucket access. Basically, you understand that from our previous sessions that we can access S3 object with the help of URL. If you go there, if you click on this ans.png, you see that S3 gives you a URL to access this object, right? Here we can see that it says the name of the bucket and the S3-AP Southeast 1 amazon.ls.com and test and ans.png. You can access this object with this URL as well. If you want that once you are through creating or complete creating this distribution, people should be able to use only this CrowdFront distribution and not the bucket, then you can click on yes here. Okay. If you want that the specific object or the content should only be accessed with the help of CloudFront distribution, because once you end up creating this distribution, you will also be getting another URL. So if you want that people only be using that URL to access the bucket, then you can click restrict bucket yes. Once, and if you don't want to do that, you can click on no, and you continue with that. And if I want to restrict the bucket, the moment I select yes, it will give me further options to configure. The one of them is origin access identity. This is an IAM user for CloudFront, which will be created and through which this access would be provided. So let's go that. If you have an existing identity, you can use that. If you don't have anything, so we can go with the create a new identity. Okay, I'll click on create a new identity. This is the command. Whatever command you want to put, you can put. I'll okay with that. I'll say maybe okay, leave it this. Basically, whatever you want, you can put it here. Then the grant read permissions on bucket. Basically, here you would be providing a read access to this guy who's going to be created, and for that purpose, CloudFront will apply a bucket policy. If you click on yes here, so CloudFront will create a bucket policy and apply on the bucket policy and give that read access. Again, remember that if this is an older bucket and it has already got other policies and the access given, that will not be hampered, that will not be changed. It will only be adding one more policy to provide read access to this identity which is going to create it. Okay. And if you don't want CloudFront to do it, you can stay with the no, I will update the permission. And if you want that, okay, yes, CloudFront should create that bucket policy and update it, and click on yes. I will click on yes. And before I move further, go to S3, I would like to tell you where you can see that. So this is my bucket. If I go to the permissions, you go to the bucket policy. This is the bucket policy where you can see that currently we do not have anything. So we'll just stay with this one. Okay, you can see that this is where you can see the bucket policies. Let's go back. So I'm asking is to yes, update my bucket. I'm creating a new identity. And then origin custom headers. If you want, you can have custom header. These are the HTTP headers which you can use. Those guys who are into the HTML development and all, they should know what does it mean basically. Here you can use up to 8 headers and their custom key value pairs. And based on that, your request will be accessed. Yes, and these policies can be modified. Then have the default cache behavior. So this was basically the origin settings. From here to here, we did origin settings. And now we'll define the cache behavior, how the cache will behave. So first is path pattern. Path pattern is the path for their content. And here we have default, or you can say there's a asterisk inside. It means all path. So all path will be following this cache behavior. If you want, you can have customized path patterns, but for that, you first need to finish creating this distribution. Once that's created, you can create a more cache behavior. In that cache behavior, you can change the path, like you can provide a path for image files, you can provide a path for your PDF files, or for video files, and you can have a different cache behavior for all those type of files, right? So currently we have to create one for default. So I'll go with the default one. I cannot change it. I can only create additional path once this distribution is created. Then first you need to define the viewer policy, protocol policy. So we'll be using HTTP and HTTPS. You can use redirect HTTP to HTTPS, and you can use HTTPS only. So if you are using, yesterday we saw that we created a static website. If you are using a static S3 website and you are delivering that kind of a content, you cannot use this HTTPS only, because that would require at least one HTTP option. So I'm going to stick with HTTP and HTTPS both. Then the allowed HTTP methods, we have got different HTTP methods which can be cached. I'll go with the default get and head. If you need more caching, you can allow other methods also. Then we have field level encryption config. If you think that your cached content might have some sensitive data like credit card number or something, so you can go and encrypt that specific field of the content. So for that, you can use field level encryption configuration. Then the cached method, so get and head would be cached by default. If you want, you can cache based on the selected request header. We have got none, whitelist and all. I'll stick with the none. Object caching, so basically you can either use origin cache headers, whatever that has been defined by in the application, or you can customize also, where you can change the minimum TTL, maximum TTL, and the default TTL. This is basically time to live. This duration will define how long your content will be cached in the edge location. Okay, so this is where you can define that. Okay, then if you want, you can configure whether the cookies would be forwarded or not, whether the query string forwarding and caching would be done or not. You can say either none, whitelist your cookies, or you can forward all cookies. Basically, none would be the default option because it improves the caching. Okay. Then the smooth streaming. Basically, if you are using Microsoft IS server, uh, if your origin is configured to use IIS, then it will be used for Microsoft IIS for smooth streaming. Currently, we do not have any such use case, so we'll select to the no. I'm not using any smooth streaming here. Then this is something which you need to pay attention here, because sometimes you find this kind of a question in examination. It says restrict viewer access, so you can use signed URL or signed cookies. If you find that how you can control the access to your S3 bucket securely. So this is one of the way we can do that. You can create a signed URL, and you can distribute that signed URL to different users. Okay, that's why you can do it. Currently, we do not have anything. And once you select on yes, you have trusted signers. You can self-sign the URLs, or you can specify other accounts as well. Okay, we'll stick with the no. Just pay attention that this is option which we have here. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry, guys, I was on mute. Okay, so remember this restrict viewer access. You can use signed URLs or signed cookies. Okay, Then if you want, the CloudFront cannot compress your objects automatically. If you have very large files, so it can compress them, but we'll not do that because we have a very small file. You can also invoke Lambda functions based on the event or the CloudFront event. You can have based on the event which has been defined here. You can invoke a Lambda function. Basically, this is a serverless service from AWS. We will be talking about it later. So currently we do not have anything here, so we'll just keep it blank. Then comes the distribution settings. So first of all comes the price class, and we have the first one is to use all edge locations. That is the best performance. Other than this, we have got two options where we can use edge locations which are in US, Canada, and Europe. So if you choose select this one, that would be the cheapest option available here. But you need to understand that every time whenever a user is trying to access the content, they would be using edge location which are in US, Canada, and Europe, which sometimes might have performance issues because it might be possible that your user might not be coming from these countries or continents only. They might be coming from other places as well. If that is the case, then this will cost you less, but it will not give you the desired performance to your users. If you are pretty sure, okay, that you have the users which are part of only these countries or in these countries, then you can select these. If you are not sure about it, go for the all edge locations where all the edge locations will be used. Although it would be the costliest option among these three, but it would give you the best performance. Okay. Sometimes what happens, AWS suggests that sometimes they can use, even if you have selected this US, Canada, and Europe, and your users coming from India, they might use some other edge locations also, but it all totally depends upon AWS choice. And if that happens, you will not be charged for that. Okay. But most of the time, they would be utilizing the edge location, which is part of these different countries. Okay. Okay, so other than that, you can use a web application firewall if you configured one. So currently we do not have that thing, so it's blank. Now, if you look at it here, once you finish creating this CloudFront distribution, you will have this a URL in this form. Look at it here. So which has some weird characters, numbers, letters, and all. Okay, so and sometimes you don't want to share that URL to your users. You want to have a URL which people can relate to easily. If that is the case, you can provide an alternate domain name here. One thing you need to remember that once you provide the alternate domain name, this default CloudFront certificate has to change because this has associated with this name. If you are putting this cloud alternate domain name, you have to have a custom SSL certificate also. Okay. Moving further, these are my supported HTTP versions. You can use HTTP 2, 1.1, and 1.0, or you can also use 1.1 and 1.0, depends upon your requirement. Then comes the default object. Okay. Now the default object is some default root object is something which you want your users to reach directly. Now, what does that mean basically? Suppose I'm using a domain name, let's call it www.abc.com. Okay. And I want whenever my user type this URL into the browser, they should land to a specific object. Let's say this specific object is this. If I go to my bucket and test one, this ans.png. I want whenever they type that URL, they should be landed to that particular object without specifying into the URL. Normally, what you see, if you need to that particular object, you need to do a slash, put the folder name, and then put the file name. You have to do it like that way. If you don't want to do that, you can just put a root object over there. Okay, which would be where the CloudFront will directly take you once you put only the naked or the root URL also. So I'll put it. Let me see what was the name of the folder. ans.png. So I'll put this ans.png. Okay, this is my file name. I want that whenever you go for the default URL, you should be landing to this object directly. If you want, you can enable logging on or off. Once you on the login, you can specify in which bucket logs would be saved. If you want to have some log prefix, you can add here. If you want cookie logging, then you also do that. On CloudFront by default will support IP version 6 also. If you want, you can remove that. If you want to put a comment where you can specify the purpose or the use of this CloudFront, you can do that, because if you have multiple CloudFront distributions, it would be easy with the comment to identify exactly the nature or the purpose of this particular distribution. Then we have the distribution state. Basically, you can create this distribution and we don't want and may not want to use it. Then you can click on disabled. And if you want, okay, once I finish up creating, you would like to start using it, then keep it at enabled, which is the default option here. So go through once again whatever we have configured, and then you will click on distribution. So we have this origin domain name, the origin path, origin ID. We are restricting the bucket access, and we are creating origin access identity, a new one, and we are asking it to update the bucket policy. And then we have not changed anything here as well. And as I told you, this is the TTL on which this duration on which your caching would be depending how long it would be cached on the edge locations. This is minimum 0, maximum 1 year, and the default is 24 days. Sorry, not 24 days, 24 hours. Okay, so that's it. We have not configured any custom domain, and we have just this is my default root object, and click on create distribution. So this activity will take some time because it has to create a distribution, update the all DNS entries and all. So you need to wait for some time. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. No questions? Okay, let's start one by one. So first of all, if you put the cache time as 24 hours, that's the default over there. So basically, that is not good for the dynamic content because if once the cache is when the content is cached, you know that till the time this TTL expires, request will not be forwarded to the source content. They will be served from the cache location. If you are having a content which is changing dynamically, then it's not good to have 24 hours caching time for the TTL. Okay, Ravi shares if you change the cache duration, will it be chargeable? Okay, cache, there are a lot of things will happening here, Ravi. When we need to look at it, the whole picture, you see that if you remember from the pricing thing which we discussed yesterday, every data out would be chargeable. So when you change the cache duration, like if you want to make it less, so it means your source would be queried again and again, right? And data would be moving from source to the edge locations frequently, so that would increase your charges or the billing. Plus, it will also affect the user experience because once if the TTL is expiring quickly, and then it has to go and fetch the content. In the meantime, user has to wait. Okay, so you need to consider all those things in mind before you define a TTL. Normally, your application development team, they are aware of all these factors and they know what kind of a TTL would be good enough because they know how frequently the content would be changing and how frequently the cache should be refreshed, caching should be refreshed. So they can give you all these numbers. Minimum was 0, maximum was 1 year, and the default was 24 hours. Arun, this content delivery is being used in a lot of real-time scenarios. It's not. I mean, you must be using it somewhere, and you must be using so many services which are currently using it. It's nothing a new concept. It has been using since long. The only thing is that this is a different service which you have got it in AWS now. So wherever you feel, okay, let's say if you have a web server that is in India, let's say you are here, you have set up a website and which is delivering, let's say, videos or image files which may be heavy in size at times, right? So, and you suddenly see that your users which are coming from the far, like maybe US, your African region, all these things, when you are trying to access the content of, because every time when they were trying to access your URL, the content would be delivered from the Indian source, which is in India. That would be basically a larger distance. So they will definitely feel that buffering is happening, and then the response is not instant, and most of the time they would have to wait, and they will feel that the user experience is not good enough. So if you find that kind of an issue, then you can create this content delivery or the cloud front, which will help them to have a better experience, because once the first request comes in, that first request only will fetch the content from the actual source, and the later on the request would be served from the caching location. So the experience would be better. They will not need not to wait because it is being served from the cache, and even your server who is serving the content would be freed from all those requests. There is no limit, I believe, on the sizing, Anshuman. This the we have a sizing limit on S3, and we are using S3 in the background. So whatever the limit is there, that would be applicable. No issues, Tarun, I'll do that. Wait. Guys, it says deployed. Let's go and see that. If I click on this ID, it will take me whatever options we have configured. So you can see that we have web delivery method, cookies off, all these options we have there. Let's go and select. This is the URL which we have got. Okay. Let's put it here. You can see that it's being served from there. And once, if you can also see that I have put the URL, but it is showing me the URL of my S3, right? That's how it works. It is working fine. Let's go back. And this is one way of checking it. There's another way also which you can see. First, let me, what should we do? Okay, let's go, and this is where you can change the origin settings. Someone was asking if you can select this one and you can edit this one. You can change these settings if you want to. If I don't want to, cancel. Here the origin group, if you are using maybe you can have multiple origins which you can group them together. In case one origin fails, the next origin can be used. So you can use that origin group also in case of failure event. Think of it, once this I have got only one origin. If this origin fails, it has some issues, then again the query will fail. So in that case of scenario, you can have multiple origins and you can group them together. Now the behavior, this is the behavior I was talking about. This is a default behavior, okay? And if you want that, you don't want to have a default path pattern for all the different type of content. You might have videos, you might have audios, you might have image files, and you want to have different kind of a path pattern. You can change it now. The first has to be for the default one, and then you can create more behavior. Here you can change it. You can see that you can put it like, let's say I have a JPG files, and I want to have a different path cache behavior for that. So I can specify like this. Okay. So for these images or these files or objects, this behavior would be set up. Okay. So that's how you can change the path pattern over there. You can put for different for video, different for audio if you want. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. So I click on cancel it, but this is the way you can do this. Then the error pages, if you want, you can have a custom error response. Click on that, and you can put your error code. Let's say bad request, and what is the minimum caching? You can put it here, and you can customize the response as well by choosing a different response code also. Okay, so that's why you can do that. This is more of a developer kind of an activity. And this is the restrictions. Basically, you can avoid or you can allow some specific countries or the user from the some specific countries to access your content. That is for your if you have some kind of a compliance or regulatory issues where you want, okay, the user from this so and so country should only access, or the user from so and so country should not be able to access. So you can do that. Click on edit, enable geo restriction, and then what you can do, you can either whitelist or blacklist your access. Once you whitelist, suppose I'm whitelisting these two countries, so the users only from these two countries would be allowed to access the content. And if I blacklist them, all users from all other countries would be able to access the content except these two. So you need to understand the difference between whitelist and blacklist. We are not doing it, cancel it. Then the invalidations. Basically, invalidating the object removes them from your cached locations. It might be possibility that you have kept a cached the default TTL for 24 hours, and you change the content of your website, and before that 24 hour, or maybe you have a, let's say you have a TTL of 7 days, and your content is being cached for 7 days, but sometimes you feel like that you have changed the content, it has to be refreshed. Then you can create an invalidation which will remove the content from the cache location, but it will be chargeable. Okay, you will be charged for that if you remove the content before TTL expires. So you can create an invalidation for that. Here you can manage your ID tags from here. So that's it for the CloudFront here. And now before we go that, this is the origin access identity which got created. You can see that this is what we asked CloudFront to create. Also, I want to show you something. We asked CloudFront to create a bucket policy for us. Let's see whether it has been created or not. Go to permissions, go to the bucket policy. You can see there's a bucket policy has been created, and you can see this is effect is allow, and the principal is CloudFront user. You can see that and the CloudFront origin access identity. This is the identity number, and then the action. What is the action? Action is to get object. Okay, that is the action has been defined, and the resource. You can see that this is my S3 bucket, and it has been defined on this bucket. So the bucket policy was applied and created by the CloudFront for us, and then applied to this particular bucket. Okay, so that was the thing. Now let's see how we can. There's another way we can use it. So let's quickly do that. We have seen we saw one way to check whether your CloudFront is working or not. This is most of time you can use another way also to check the functionality of this CloudFront URL. So let's do that quickly. I'll go to the services, EC2. My head is like about to burst. Okay, let's quickly go and create a running instance. Launch instance. I'll go with the default options, which are whatever we have. There's no security group. I'm not adding a tag, and we don't have an existing security group also. Let's call it one and call it CloudFront-SG. I'm going to use this for the description also. And I'm going to add this HTTP rule and SSH, HTTP and HTTPS. Review and launch. It says it's open to world. I'm okay with that. There is no key pair, so I'm going to create a new one. Create a new key pair. Key pair name would be Viva test. Download the key pair. So it says saves the file. It's done. Let's go and launch instance. It's being launched, so let's wait for some time and we'll do some configuration. In the meantime, I'll change this key to the PP key. So it's running. So let's go and try to log in. I'll copy the IP address from here. Sorry. I'm logging into the party now. So we have logged in. Let's go and check here. I hope you see the console of the server. Let's call it okay. Let's quickly install Apache. Just installed. Let's go to the HTML directory. Let's quickly create a index.html. Call it HTML. We need to copy that URL from the CloudFront and bring it here. Everything is correct. Close the body. So we'll look at it again. Looks like correct to me. So Ashman tag is missing. I think it is there. Okay, let's save this file. Let's start the services. Okay, I hope I'm done. If there's something missing in HTML script, then we'll come back and revisit it. Let's stop the sharing and come back. Let's go back to the browser. This was my browser. Okay. And this is my public IP. Let's see if it is able to serve it or not. It's working fine. You can see that the image is being served through that CloudFront, and we put it that CloudFront URL. So this is another way you can check it. So it's working fine. Okay, guys, I think I need to stop. So my head is about to burst now. I hope it's pretty clear, right? Any questions you have before we? It's working, Siva, right? No? Yes, guys, any questions? We need to stop here and then we'll start tomorrow again. Now we have seen this. How does it work? What are the options we have while configuring? We have gone through almost all available configurations. We have seen, we have checked it two different ways by which you can check how whether it's working or not. We have seen that it has created a bucket policy. It created an origin identity access identity for us, right? Anything else you want to ask before I close the session? The image part depends upon your image name, Ravi. You're talking about this, which one? Where we provided in distribution or we provided in EC2 instance? Which one are you talking about? This one? Okay, the image path which we provided, that is basically path. Basically, this URL was there. This one. So it will be changing with the different distributions. If you create a different distribution, this path or this domain name will change. This will have some different characters here. The CloudFront.net would remain same, and then you put this image path over there. If I can take you back to the, okay, I'll take you back to the console. If you see here, this is the same path. You can see here, this one. Got it? So if no more questions, I would like to close the session and talk to you tomorrow. Sure, guys? Nothing? Okay, cool. Thanks.